Arvinda. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Iskan Sanstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitya Leela Pravishta Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki. Sachit Ananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki. Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki. Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu ki. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki. Shri Narottam Das Thakur ki. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath. Shad Goswami Prabhu ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki. Kshama kare, excuse me. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Vrinda Devi Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Mathura Dham ki. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki. Shri Jagannath Paridham ki. Shri Dwarka Paridham ki. Shri Ayodhya Paridham ki. Shri Shri Gaurnitai Mandir ki. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki. Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam Skanda 10 Adhyaya 14 Shloka 51. Tad Rajendra Yatha Snehas Swaswa Kam Atmani Swaswa Katmani Dehinam Natata Mamata Lambi Putra Vitta Grihadishu Tad Rajendra Yatha Snehas Swaswa Katmani Dehinam Natata Mamata Lambi Putra Vitta Grihadishu. You all know English, right? But you don't know Sanskrit. If there's a visarga in the Vakya, snehaha, no, that's padapat. This is called samhitapat, tadrajendra yata, snehasvasva swatmani dehinam. Now in the English, there is no sign that there's a half of a viram or a half of a pause. Only in the Devanagari is the pause there, and then a full pause. Tatna tata mamatalam viputra vita grihadishu samhita pataha. If you read the whole shloka, it's called samhita pat. And when you read the words separated from each other, it's called padapat. So in the samhita pat, tadrajendra yata snehas. Why snehas? Because the sandhi. Do you understand sandhi? Coalescence. When the word merges with the letter merges. Snehas. Because swa is S. So you don't pronounce snehaha. You pronounce it snehas. For your information. That's how it's done. But here, there's no indication. Actually, the words are not separated. This is a mistake. But it's done. You can't correct it, or it should be corrected. But who will correct it? In Sanskritam, there is no break unless you see one line or two lines. So that one line is called Ardha Viram Chinnam. And the two lines are called a Viram Chinnam. Chinnam means mark. So to mark the end of a sentence, there's a line. Now, if there's no line, you have to read the whole thing. Tadrajendra yata snehasvasva katmani dehinam. Then there's a line here in the Devanagari, one line. Ardha Viram Chinnam. Na tata mamatalam viputra vita grihadishu. Then there are two lines. Purna Viram Chinnam. For your information. This is how, if you study the language, then you would come to know that. But we're not doing a deep study, not studying deeply. Nobody teaches in English, I'm the only one. Padapataha. Padapataha. Reading the words. Right? We're reading the words. Tat. Therefore. Now here it is, we're reading the words and translation. The word is tat. But the translation is therefore. So, padapat and anuvad. Anuvadaha. Raja Indra. O best of kings. So there are two words here. Raja and Indra. Raja Indra. So what is that called in Sanskritam? When two words come together in English, it's called a compound. Right? If you study English, it's called a compound. So, samastapadam, one word. Two words become one. Rajendra. But here when you read the padapataha, Raja Indra, two words. Yata, as. Snehaha. So you pronounce aha. Aha, aha. Ihi, ihi. Uhu, uhu. When there's padapat, not in the samhita pat. In the samhita pat, at the end, you pronounce it, but not in the middle of the sentence. When there's a virama chinna, but here there's no chinnam. There is no mark for half of the sentence and full sentence. Only in the Devanagari. At that time, you would say snehaha in samhita pat. And in padapat, Now you say sneha, the affection. Swaswaka, of each individual. Atmani, for the self. Dehinam, of the embodied beings. Na, not. Tata, thus. Mamata alambi, for that. Excuse me. So that's another compound word here. For that which one identifies with as his possessions. Putra, son. Vitta, wealth. Griha, homes. Adishu, and so on. Translation and purport. For this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and the self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Purport. It is now common practice all over the world for a mother to kill her own child within the womb if the birth of that child represents any inconvenience for her. Similarly, grown children eagerly place their elderly parents in lonely institutions rather than be inconvenienced by their presence at home. These and innumerable other examples prove that people in general are more attached to their own body and self, which represents I-ness, than to their family and other possessions, which represents my-ness. Although conditioned souls are very proud of their so-called love for society and family and so on, in reality, every conditioned soul is acting on the platform of gross or subtle selfishness. I missed yesterday's shloka. Shri Shuka uvacha sarvesham api bhutanam nripasvatmaiva vallabha. No, we read that day before yesterday. How is it? Acha, there was no class? Acha, that's why. Okay. Oh. So who is selfless? It's very difficult. It's easy to say that someone is selfless. Of course, we can see by their behavior. We can judge by their acharan, their behavior, whether they're selfish or selfless. But human nature is to be selfish. That's the purport here. Naturally, people are selfish because self-preservation is innate in every human being. Even in the animals, they think of themselves first, and then they think of their family members. Even animals have family members, right? Birds have family members. You see the birds making nests. The monkeys carrying their small children. So, yeah, we think of our family, our community. But over and above the self, we think we want to present actually beyond the nature of the embodied soul is to live. Whether he's a Vaishnava or he's not a Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's poem, right? A Vaishnava dies to live. There are people that don't want to live, they commit suicide. They think it's glorious to kill other people and die in the process. They think that they will go to a higher destination by killing other people. It happened a couple days ago in New Orleans. You know about that? You don't read the news. You're sheltered. Somebody drove a truck into the crowd and killed 14 people. And he was inspired by you know what? Islamic extremism. We say Islamic extremism, but there are certain teachings there that if you kill other people, it's glorious. But those are innocent people, so how can it be glorious? So he may have thought, I'm being selfless. I'm sacrificing myself. Ultimately, he was shot by the police. He didn't blow up the bus, blow up the car. Oh, somebody did that in America the same day, Las Vegas. Somebody blew up a car in front of a hotel. And only he was killed. Nobody else was killed. And this goes on every day. I mean, this is what you read in the media. But there's, in Arabia, that's the place where this idea came from. This is not Vedic. So, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha na jana vidurasuraha. They're asuras. They don't know what to do and what not to do. And this history is not new, right? It's been going on now. It's the plan of Kali Yuga, probably. Kali Yuga is the age of adharma. But cloaked in the name of dharma. They say it's religion. Can you kill other innocent people? Women, children. One of the people who died there in New Orleans was a girl, African-American girl, just graduated from high school. Sorry, I read the New York Times. How did I know about it? It's in the New York Times. So an 18-year-old girl just graduated from high school. She wanted to enjoy life. And some crazy guy drove the truck over her and the other 14 people. So proper sanskaras are required, proper teachings, proper impressions. That we feel comes from the Vedic culture. So culture has to be taught. Those who have no culture, they are human beings but they live like animals. They live like animals. So what is animal life? Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam cha. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So in order to eat and sleep nicely, then you need money. I think Sudama is the example from the Bhagavatam of the Brahmana who followed Brahminical culture, and because of that he had no material desires. He didn't care about his living condition, whether he had wealth, whether he had even food to eat, he didn't care. So Brahmana's business is to cultivate Vedic knowledge, that's all, and teach others. So Gurukul was a small place. Few children would learn Vedic knowledge and Vedic culture in the home of a Brahmana. That system was protected by Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas would protect Vedic system, but now we see the decline in Kshatriyas, or why Bharata has been divided into several different countries. It was one culture, Vedic culture, 5,000 years ago. But due to Kali Yuga, it has broken up. And those who used to follow Vedic culture condemn Vedic culture. So our business is to teach it, to learn it and to teach it. This is a Prachar Sanstha, right? An institution meant for spreading Vedic culture. So, Vedic culture can uplift a human being to the highest platform. At least it can make someone sattvic. Most of the people are influenced by tamogun, rajogun, bad habits that cloud their intelligence in such a way that they don't know, what's the purpose of life. They seem to be very educated, educational institutions, right? Western educational institutions coming up in India, we never had, here in Bharata, there were no Western educational system with uniforms and universities and whatnot. But now it's madness. Everybody give up their culture and adopt Western culture. And when you adopt Western culture, then you adopt tamasic pravritti, those activities in the mode of ignorance that blind you to the real purpose of life. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So, distributing the books is spreading the movement, no doubt. It's a very powerful activity for spreading Bhagavatam and Gita. Same time, we have to teach the people ourselves. We have to explain to them, particularly to the youth. Prabhupada, when he preached, he attracted the youth. And that's how he got so many dedicated followers who took the mission all over the world. So there is some hope. He used to say like that, Prabhupada used to say, even though we see that things are getting, more and more materialistic. Especially the Hindus giving up their culture and adopting Western culture. It's very sad. especially for us who came here. Funny thing, what can be done? Kali Yuga is very powerful. Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Maya is very powerful. And those who are attracted by Maya, what is the dhyayato vishayam pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sanjayate kamat krodo vijayate krodat bhavati sammoha. So they become bewildered because of their constant touch with rajogun and tamogun. They become bewildered. Smriti vibhramaha, and the power of remembrance, especially because people in India used to have good sanskaras, they were taught to be religious. That's why so many thousands of people want to go to Sri Rangam or Balaji or what that Hanuman yesterday, what's it, Namakal? What's the name of that Hanuman? Just Hanuman. Anjaneya Swami. So many people come. They were taught that you get spiritual benefit by seeing the deities, worshipping the deities, offering patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, give something. You see they give flowers or tulasi leaves to the deities. Patram, pushpam. These sanskaras were for thousands of years. But somehow the people are being misled. So, revival here and spreading there outside. How do you spread? It's a trick. Even here, how do you revive? And one fellow was protesting right here in Tamil Nadu. He was protesting that, what was he protesting? Corruption in the temples. The money is being taken by the government from the temples. The government is an atheist. And so they put him in jail. Like Bangladesh. That one devotee is not cooperating with ISKCON, by the way, but he was protesting the treatment of mistreatment of Hindus. They put him in the jail. So it's a tough task to preach Sanatana Dharma and to protect. In Kali Yuga there's a lot of corruption. To stop corruption is not easy. And corruption is caused by materialism. Materialism is what causes corruption. So if one treads on the path of spiritual life, if one truly become detached, then he'll become free from corruption. Truly detached is not easy. One has to go on whole lifetime thinking. Whole lifetime one has to consider, not just, okay, now I'm following sadhana. Anyway, that, what is it? Uttishta jagrata prapsya varandi bodhata. Durgam shurasya dhara nihita duratyaya. So just like the razor's edge is very sharp, the path of liberation is also very difficult. Duratyaya means dur is difficult. Bad and difficult, two meanings. Maybe other meanings also. Durgam patastat. Durgam. Durgama. Going is difficult. Pata, the path. Durgam patastat tat patam Tat pataha, that path. Durgama, difficult too. What path? Spiritual life, right? Uchishta jagrata prapsya varani bodhata. Kshurasya dhara nihita duratyaya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. Kavayaha, learned persons. Kavayaha, it's expression. Kavi would mean a poet, but Kavayaha means bahuvachanam, plural. Many learned persons say vadanti bahuvachanam. Spiritual path is difficult. So many people give up the spiritual path. And some are on the spiritual path and they're not apparently on the spiritual path. But inside, they couldn't give up material attachments, particularly householders. It's more difficult. If one is a brahmachari, real brahmachari, they're also fake brahmacharis, isn't it? So-called sadhus making a show of being learned. So, yeah, Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is very dark. We hear of some corruption and then we lose faith. But actually just like Bhagavatam is considered like the sun. The sun is pure. Prabhupada used to give that example. The sun dries urine and stool and purifies. Biodegradable, merges into the elements. The sun does not become impure. So to keep oneself pure is a goal. Oh, there was no purport to today? No, yeah, there is a purport, right? Sorry. So, how to defeat the Dehatma Buddhi, that I am this body. According to Krishna, it's Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagena cha grihyate. To control the mind is possible. Arjuna said it's not possible. Krishna said, no, it's possible. By constant practice and detachment. So that practice never stops. It never stops. You have to go on practicing. But stuff. Great scholars become enamored by Adi Shankara's Advaita Vedanta. Great scholars. But that doesn't mean that every scholar became enamored by that. Many, for sure. For sure. They study Vedas, they memorize Vedas, Vedangas, Dharma Shastras, Darshan Shastras. But they don't understand that bhakti, right? Brahma Bhuta Prasadatma na sochati na kankshati samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. This instruction of Krishna and Gita, so many great scholars, they missed it. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a scholar. Doesn't mean you should not be a scholar. You should be. Kavayaha, they're praised, right? Mahajano yena gatha sapantaha. But who is that Mahajan? The Mahajan should be a Bhakta. Just like Bhagavatam, so many Bhaktas are, Bhagavatam is praising the Bhaktas. Bhagavatam is praising the Bhaktas. that stress on bhakti. And Gita is a bhakti granth also. Although it's teaching, the main teaching is to fight. The main teaching in Gita is fighting. Fighting a battle against adharma. Even if your guru or your grandfather goes on the path of adharma, you should fight them. That's what Arjuna had to do. So in the philosophical battlefield, we're fighting against the Advaita idea. Advaita idea is very similar to Buddhism and Jainism. Impersonal concept. Only Buddhism and Jainism are materialistic. There's no soul ultimately, according to them. And Advaita Vedanta and Vaishnava Vedanta agree that the soul is eternal. And we agree on the same Shastras. But we disagree on the absolute truth, which they say is Brahman. Brahma Nirvanam is used in Gita also, right? Brahma Nirvanam Shabda. But this, how come they ignore Brahma Bhutta Prasannatma? Na sochati na kankshati. Samaha sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. That bhakti to Krishna is the highest. So, having a debate with learned scholar, you have to be a learned scholar. A Vedic, because when they argue, pramanas they have to present. Pramanas are from, in Vedanta philosophy, because Vedanta means Upanishads. So different mantras from Upanishads are presented. So there are both, what is it? Advaita type of concept, Vakyas. They say Vakya, we say mantras. They are the mantras in Upanishads. And Dvaita, both of them are there. Dvaita and Advaita. So you have to choose. Bhagavatam is definitely teaching bhakti. But then there are the impersonalists also study Bhagavatam. And they'll also give you an impersonalist interpretation. Just like they give impersonalist interpretation to Vedanta Sutras. Okay, we may not study, we may study. Anyone can, through bhakti, attain the highest destination. He may or may not be a great scholar. Same time, if you're teaching, you have to know the subject matter, isn't it? And we're supposed to teach the society. So, if you have to teach the society, you have to learn the subject matter. But when you learn the subject matter, Vedic system was to memorize it. This is where, how to adopt that system. But we're weak on this point. We're weak on this point. Have to memorize a lot to be learned. How is that possible? In the childhood is the time to memorize. childhood. Philosophy is not for children, isn't it? Children, I mean, there may be some exceptional cases, but generally, balastavat kridasaktaha. Children like to play. It's natural in human nature. So then, but we see all over the world, even in the Malechas and the Yavanas, children study. Hiranyakashipu sent Prahlad for studies. He was an asura. So childhood is the time for study. Now, what are they studying is the question. What studies? Studying to earn money is mainly the modern educational system. And that too, to serve someone else, paricharyatmakam karma, to serve a master. Because employment means serving a master. Even though it's very, modern and it's not like the old days, but it's still service to someone else. If you're working a job, you're serving someone else. You're not independent. So it's Shudra, modern Shudra. Vaishya doesn't serve someone else. And generally the Vaishyas are more wealthy than the Shudras. For physical labor, compensation is less. And in business, profits are more. In business, profit. It's a general principle. And Kshatriyas, very few, but their business is protection. And for that protection, they're also rewarded by the public. Taxes. Taxes go to the government. Kshatriyas were the old government. And the taxes, now, of course, protection is there. Police and military. Without the police and the military, there's no peace in society. So that was a Kshatriya's duty, to maintain peace in society and protection of the public. And Brahmanas, Veda Vidya, Vedic knowledge. We didn't memorize, unfortunate. It's not durbhagyam, bad fortune. If you memorize all this in your childhood, then it's going on in your brain. It's going on in your brain. All the Vedic knowledge. Because we didn't memorize it, it's not going on in our brain. It's not going on. That's sanskara. Sanskara, impressions. So, Hare Krishna. What to do? You have to know whether you're Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. The system here in Bharata was based on community, that's for sure. Because we see community of Brahmanas, community of potters, community of blacksmiths, etc., etc. Kula dharma, last time I pointed that out. The family had their own traditions, and the children were expected to follow that. And some cannot follow, or some had more intelligence that they could uplift themselves from a lower type of a activity to a higher type of an activity. Modern society, you don't have the obvious division, but the divisions are there. The divisions may not be by family tradition. Oh, I forgot to turn off the ringer. Just shift off the ringer on the side. Yeah, thank you. Prabhupada said, divide society, make varnashram. Here it was done from time immemorial. People, by their association with their family members, they would pick up whatever it was. I mean, it's natural like that. Right? In English, there's like father, like son. This is a natural thing. At the same time, what is it? Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindanti manavaha. What's the first part of that? Anybody remember? No. Because we didn't memorize Gita, so we don't have these verses in our heads. Swakarmana, by your own activities. Tam abhyarcha, and by worship of the Supreme Lord. Siddhim vindanti manavaha. Human beings can attain perfection. So, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, whatever your activity, you can perfect yourself. And Krishna was telling this to Arjuna so that he would take up the fight. He would do his duty as a Kshatriya. You will be perfect if you take up this swakarmana tamabhyarcha, at the same time worship of the Supreme Lord, bhakti. Siddhim, siddhi means perfection. Vindanti, will obtain, manavaha, human beings attain perfection by performing their activities in varnashram dharma. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said, Daiva varnashram. So everyone who is following the varnashram is also a devotee. So then hardly there's a distinction, I feel. Personally, I don't know. When Krishna tells Arjuna, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindanti manavaha, it is clearly the duties of a Kshatriya were Arjuna's swakarma. Duties of a Kshatriya, and he didn't want to perform those duties. Nayotsya iti govindam. What is that? Nayotsya, I won't fight. That's the whole beginning of Gita. When Arjuna says, no fighting. And Krishna, whole Gita convincing him to fight, which he did. That's the story of Mahabharata. Arjuna fought. So, the whole Gita is meant to convince us to follow whoever he is, that we are not followers of varnashram dharma. Then he didn't read Gita. Didn't read Gita. What is it? Chatur varnam maya shrishtam, I created the varnashram. If you're a devotee of Krishna in the Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, and you say varnashram is the caste system, I don't want to hear the V word, which a couple devotees told me was 11 years ago, or 10 years ago, at one of our temples here in this country. I was shocked. I was shocked. How can you be a devotee of Krishna and reject what Krishna taught? How is it possible? Doesn't make sense. Senseless. And senseless means nonsense, no sense. Hare Krishna. I'll end here. Any question? Yeah. You need a mic? There's no cordless here. Okay. Yeah. You know, there's a Mataji who took initiation in ISKCON. Her husband's not a devotee. In fact, I just was browsing his website and he's got this promotions business and he wants to link Indian entertainment, Bollywood entertainment for Indians in the West with a culinary experience in big restaurants, Indian restaurants. And of course, those restaurants are non-veg restaurants. They're from a vegetarian caste. In India, there are veg castes and non-veg castes. There are exceptions in both. You know, you'll find Bengalis who are vegetarian, Prabhupada. But 98% of Bengalis fish eater. Prabhupada commented on that. His sister had to serve fish to her husband. But she never ate. Prabhupada made a comment that the mother-in-law made special arrangements for her when she was married to this in a fish-eating family, but the mother-in-law said, no, she doesn't eat these things. We have to make separate. Prabhupada said, my sister and my god-sister. And Rasikananda, I think Bhakti Vikas Maharaj published a book on Rasikananda. And in that book, it's written that 300 years ago, all the people of Utkala have given up religion. Utkala means Orissa, Odisha. They're trying to make it phonetically correct in English. Utkala and Kalinga are the old names of what we call Odisha today. And the people all eat fish, by and large. South India, where you are now, the Brahmins and the Vaishyas were generally vegetarians, but the rest of the people non-veg. All south. But in Tamil Nadu, many of the Vaishyas are non-veg, right? Telugu-speaking Vaishyas are veg and Tamil-speaking Vaishyas, business community, they're non-veg. But I noticed in this advertisement in America, a hotel started by Anil Agarwal. It's a common name. There must be, 25, how do I say it? Anil Agarwal is a very common name. Agarwal is a big caste. But the Agarwal caste is veg. They're Vaishyas. But now for business, they're running non-veg. So same thing with this Reliance, right? They have their shops. Or the Birlas, they're all veg communities. Reliance, they're Gujarati Baniya, Birlas, Rajasthani. Baniya means Vaishya. And they sell eggs. They're doing a non-veg business. And the beat goes on. You can go, the people from vegetarian castes who run non-veg businesses. It's also vice versa. There are, people from non-veg communities who became devotees, and they run their own Govindas, like in Dubai. There's a Govindas. He's a devotee now, but he was a non-veg family. But he's got 5 restaurants now, and no onion and no garlic. So, restaurant is, of course, we are running them. In one sense, we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be, but what to do? There's no Raja to sustain this type of institution. So, because Brahmanas are not supposed to do business. And being a religious institution, Vedic, you shouldn't charge money for food, isn't it? Am I wrong or am I right? But how to run the show? So little compromise is there. Due to the time and circumstances. Now, how much compromise do you want to make? That's the problem. When you make one compromise, then you rationalize a whole bunch of other ones. Like the issue of Jagannath Rath Yatra. The king of Puri, he has no political power. But he's respected by the people. Still, despite having no political power. And his advisors are saying ISKCON is running Rath Yatra on many different dates. So in India, we made a resolution, we'll only put it on the same day as Puri to maintain the peace. But where do you maintain the peace? In Orissa. Because the rest of India, nobody cared. But there we made a political issue in the public, and ISKCON devotees were, put into a difficult situation. But now they want it should be everywhere, all over the world. And for instance, in New York, we have a Rath Yatra on 5th Avenue. You may have attended that also. Never? Half of your life is wasted. So it's been going on for almost 50 years. And the permit is for the first Saturday every month of June. So that may not be Ashad Shukla Dvitiya, which is mentioned in Skanda Purana. So they're saying you're breaking the Shastras. You're not disobeying Shastra Pramanas. Right? That's the charge. So what some of our devotees saying, but the aim of having these Rath Yatras is to bring people to Vedic Shastras. By having a Jagannath Rath Yatra, it's a Vedic festival. And bringing people to Bhakti. So if the date, actually the dates should only be Puri then. There shouldn't be deities of Jagannath in other places. Because there's no Gundicha outside of Puri. At Mandir and Gundicha are in Puri only. So it hasn't been settled. And I don't think it will be settled soon. And I don't know what will happen. We had 23 scholarly devotees do research on this. And came up with a paper, and I met the king with Guru Prasad Maharaj. That was beginning of last month, about a month back. And he's a lawyer. That's so funny. The king is a lawyer who was a Supreme Court lawyer. He doesn't know Shastras, but he knows how to speak forcefully. And you must have all over the world only on Ashad Shukla Dvitiya, or within 9 days when the Puri Rath Yatra takes place. So, it's a bit of a dilemma. See, there are two, both arguments, right? The one argument, it's promoting bhakti, and Prabhupada didn't follow that strictly, that it should be on those dates. There's evidence, and he actually wrote some instructions he gave. Have it, if it's, everybody should attend the Rath Yatra, so don't have one in San Francisco or Los Angeles on the same day, something like that. I don't remember the exact locations. But it was in the US, and he said you should have it on different dates so that all the devotees can attend and make it a more grand function. And at New York, you will lose the permit, and nobody is given a permit now to have a parade on Fifth Avenue because it's been going on for 50 years. Ours is not a big parade. There are other parades, St. Patrick's Day parade and Puerto Rican parade, and thousands of people come in the streets. ISKCON is, we have to admit, it's smaller. But it's been going on for 50 years. So it's a tradition. And they give a permit. Now, if you cancel that, you won't have that at all. Whatever it is, little preaching, it's something, Vedic culture. So, yeah. Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. It's a little some bhakti for the Malechas and Yavanas. I could go on, but I better stop now. I could go on and on. I met a devotee in the Rath Yatra there this year at New York. In the park after the Rath Yatra, we're talking to him. And his devotee says, I'm gay, homosexual. So how can you be homosexual and be a devotee? Can't. Prabhupada condemned it. No, well, my guru, he's not a Prabhupada disciple, or my guru will bless me, he knew. Prabhupada wrote a letter to one disciple, give up this homosex. You cannot advance in Krishna consciousness if you're homosexual. So on some issues, Prabhupada was uncompromising. Rath Yatra, he was ready to have it on any day to promote bhakti. When Prabhupada gave initiation, the disciples had to shave their head. But now we see, pujaris with long hair in big temples. Now Sri Vaishnava, they'll shave like this much. Some of them, not everybody, but traditionally you had to shave. North India, even the Brahmins, I saw the Madhva Brahmins, they're not pujaris, but they're from the Madhva caste, and they were beautiful dhotis, right? Purple, green. They're the only ones, right, that wear these colorful chadar and dhoti, but they don't shave their heads. Then I saw one with a shaved head. So, if we want to compromise, what Shastra Pramana, that's the whole argument here, Shastra Pramanas. You have to have Rath Yatra in the month of Ashad. Actually, it says there's 3 dates is given in the Skanda Purana, not 1 date. But the Puri Rath Yatra is on 1 date. So Prabhupada said, I'm 90% lenient. He made that type of a, he knew some of the disciples were homosexuals. He gave them initiation, but he had them get married to women. We're talking about the men. He ordered them marry a woman. That's Vedic culture. So propagating homosexuality and what's that? Transsexuality, when you change, sex change. Yeah, it's just total nonsense. It's totally bogus. And society is promoting this. We should help them by facilitating that, but it's artificial. Injection of hormones and surgery to remove the genitalia is a madness. It's insanity. So modern society is going crazy. It's going crazy. The Vedic concept can help restore sanity to society. But we see this guy driving a truck and killing the people. And so people condemn religion. There's a religion is fanaticism and crazy people. But we say, you are the crazy people. You are the crazy people. You have no goal in life. They know this also. Many of them, psychologists, there's no aim in life. So you go crazy. Okay. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Hare Krishna. Yeah, in Bourbon Street. An African American guy, but he was a Muslim. Yeah, he was in the military. Yeah, he was